today's session. So, as we all know, technology is transforming the world around us and it's reshaping the future of work as well. This shift means it's essential for us to upskill ourselves and also guide our children in learning the skills that will prepare them for what's ahead. So, what skills should we focus on? That's exactly what we will be learning in today's session. And this session will be led by none other than Atal Agarwal, an IIT Kharagpur graduate and the founder of OpenSphere. With his extensive experience, Atal has a unique perspective on the changing dynamics of the skills landscape and what it takes to stay relevant. So let's welcome Atal, and the dais is yours.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. And I mean, we can keep that slide or whichever way we want to do this. Very good to connect with all the parents here, all the kids here. Basically looking at, just like looking at what is happening right now in the world with AI and with ambition and how can the kids be more prepared for it. So, I think, what I'm going to touch more of is like, what are the skills that are very much of relevant to human beings in the AI first world, and then we will go into some of the details and want to keep this more and more of interactive session. So would appreciate questions from the audience here. I can start with like a quick background about what I have done. So I moved from India 7 years ago. I came here for my master's at UC Santa Barbara, and then I tried my first startup, which was in hardware, and we raised money and we worked for like a year. And then I took my first job as like a product manager in a healthcare company. And I worked in like 3 companies like that. And now I have a company called as OpenSphere, which is in Gen AI. And it helps mainly with the immigration paperwork. So in simple terms, it's like the immigration paperwork is a lot of documentation, argument building. So what we do is we use Gen AI to be able to write some of that paperwork. And as that paperwork we write, lawyers can submit that easily. So it reduces the cost. It kind of like makes the process more efficient of getting a green card like EB1A or O1 visa for startup founders. So the way, if I think about this in the last 7 years, we kind of built this because I was seeing that there is a problem that is happening, and that's kind of how we ended up getting into this market of like, hey, we should be building something for Gen AI. So I'm going to share my screen, and I have kind of like a doc which I would mainly kind of walk through, where we can talk about the things. So I'm seeing a lot of movement happening, and this is like a very fast revolution right now. Large language models are there on one side, and they are by itself, even if it's not smart, they are moving very fast. At the same time, hardware and manufacturing have not been picked up. So we are seeing a ton of improvements on LLM capabilities with OpenAI, with Anthropic, Claude AI, and even like a lot of new open source models. If you think from one perspective, like as more and more of knowledge workers' work is getting done with the help of AI, you have a lot of time, like all this work was done by a knowledge worker, like people who were having titles like, product manager or a lawyer or paralegal. So all these jobs are getting automated for the first time with the help of large language models. So that is like the first advancement we are seeing here. The second is just like robotics and advancements. I mean, as you know, like Elon Musk has been a ruthless executor on a lot of areas, and the Tesla Optimum, or whether it's about electric cars, self-driving car, we are also seeing that with Waymo. We are seeing a lot of movement in this direction on the robotics front. We are also seeing kind of like movement happening in how media is getting consumed now. Like we are all on the social media. The social media is changing by itself with Gen AI. A lot more of social media is now AI generated. So people are like marketing themselves with the help of AI, but there are some aspects which AI cannot do. And, we will talk more about how that part is changing. And then we are seeing a lot of space exploration happening right now, like how Elon Musk has been pushing for multi-planetary species. So I'm giving this like more of a benchmark on where we are at right now. LLMs are advancing. There are a lot of robotic enhancements happening. From an industrial system perspective, also manufacturing is going to be a lot more automated down the road. and we are seeing like, ability to generate music. Like anyone can be an artist, anyone can be a creative now, very easily in life. Like if it used to take like 5 steps for someone to produce music or like bring their thoughts out, now that can be done in like 1 or 2 steps. So this all these advancements are happening. So it's coming down to like, hey, what is the future of work looking like? What is the future of jobs looking like? How are we gonna keep our keep our families and be prepared for that? And how do we stay relevant in the world, especially in terms of like being of service or being of value for other people? So that's just like, first how it is happening. Then job change is also coming together because of it. And I mean, as I shared, we are these I would say like a lot of these jobs have been automated in the past. Now we are even seeing a next step in this, where even the high quality jobs, knowledge workers like lawyers, and are also getting automated. A lot of these jobs, I would say retail and cashier jobs, were kind of automated in the last 5-10 years already, but it's gonna even keep getting more and more further, where even the higher quality jobs, which we see people do in Bay Area, product manager or engineer, or those are getting automated. Like if you think about engineer's career, 10 years ago, we used to say like, hey, become a software engineer and you will have a good career. Now AI has pretty much automated the whole software engineer career. Like people can be 10x more efficient. If you use Claude and use ChatGPT, you can get answers which are very, very good quality. So if someone knows the basics very well about how software works, how to write code, then and they can focus on the strategy aspect of code, they can pretty much get a lot more code done by not having like 5 or 10 more people. Like it is the truth that we should accept right now. Like AI is eating software by itself. So that is happening, and the jobs are changing. Now, I think we should look at how, when this change is going to happen, how actually jobs are organized in the world. So, when I look at this in the last 10-20 years, how job creation has happened, it's mainly there is some innovation that has come together, and that innovation is adopted by the society in such a way that it has created a lot of value, and there are a ton of people who can help support that mission. It's a very different way of, it's just like looking at, just capitalism in general, that there is a problem that needs to be solved, and there is a team which is ready to solve that problem, and there is a mission which is led by the founder or the CEO, and like, hey, we want to do this, and then the whole team gets aligned towards it, and the society rewards it in ways of like rewarding through capital. Like even as an employee, if we think about it, the employee part is basically there is someone who is aligned with the mission as a founder, as a CEO, and then the whole team aligns around that mission, and there is a problem that needs to be solved. Now, if we think about why we are all here together, is because yes, there is a problem, which is we don't know what's going to happen with AI, and everyone is like, hey, I want my kids to be prepared. So there is a problem. Like we are in fear of like what's going to happen in this next in the future, in the next phase of the world, and we see a problem, and then Moonpreneur as an entrepreneurial body, as a forward-looking body about where the future is going, is educating, is upskilling the talent to be able to be prepared for that. So with all this, as we know, what we should be focusing on is like, what are the things that are natural to a human being that AI or anyone could not be able to replace, and how to get there. There are like two parts, which is what are the things which are unique to a human being that AI won't be able to replace, and the second part is how do we get more and more of that out of us. So we will go into like what is a human advantage. So I think first human advantage, which a lot of people don't like to understand or accept, is emotional intelligence and empathy. And a lot of the products that have come and done very well in the world are because of someone being empathetic about a problem and is able to understand, has empathy towards it, and be able to like, hey, I think I can solve this problem in a better way. If you think about healthcare in the US, like it's still so messed up. But if you think about whenever the ideas of like, hey, what we should build in healthcare comes when, let's say, you are going to a hospital and you are like, I think this is a bad way of like booking an appointment, or this is I'm looking for urgent care and I don't have a doctor, and you are like, god, someone's got to solve this problem, and then you solve it for yourself, where you are like, hey, looks like I did some chat gpt and I got the answer to my doctor, so maybe we can create a product around it and then sell it and help other people. Selling is basically helping other people solve the problem that you face. So if you think about it, like, in a way, it started in empathy, where you went to a doctor and you are like, I think this problem is deep and it impacted you and you want to solve that problem. So that's like one way of like, looking at it, what is unique about human beings and why by human beings would be able to do it better than anyone else. So focus on like, so takeaway here is focus on how you can help the kids become more emotionally intelligent, like allow them to feel their emotions. And I think maybe the way I look at it is like more from a perspective about not, denying the kids about when they say something, like developing the narrative in a way where you build on what they're saying instead of actually shutting them down. Like there could be multiple ways to approach the same question that a kid is asking, and like, hey, can I have this? Then you can reward them that yes, you can have this when you do this as well. Or you want them to be directed, instead of saying that no, like instead of saying that no more, you can say yes more often and say that, okay, yeah, this is how you can do it. And whenever they come up with ideas or send anything new, then you basically say that it's a great idea, even if you feel like it's not a great idea, because there are a lot of ideas which would be pretty bad. But the only way you can tap into your creativity is by going through all these bad ideas. And sometimes our human brain is kind of like shut down very, very quickly. Like when someone says that, oh, no, this is like, this is just like not good. And when you have a kid and you just like suppress that emotion or that idea that comes out of them, then you won't see the next iteration of it. And creativity is basically you going through thousands of those ideas and iterating over it over a period of time because someone said yes to it. And I think I'm gonna bring it back to how we started this company, Open Sphere. It basically like me facing an immigration challenge, and I was like, no, this is not acceptable. I don't think that is right. And I started building it out, and there would be some people that, hey, I also face this problem. And as I was solving this problem for myself, I was realizing that AI can be beneficial. And over a year, it took us over a year to be able to get to a stage where now we have a very solid product and we have paying customers. But the whole journey was to start with a problem that I saw, and I was like, I want to solve this problem. And slowly people said that, yes, I also have this problem, and another person had this problem. And going through all this thousands of iterations before we have a product which is valuable to someone, where someone would say like, okay, this is what I would pay for. But it took like a lot of navigation. So the only way we were able to tap into our creativity is by going through all that iteration. Next is complex problem solving and critical thinking. So next is, it's always said that the art is really not about the answer. The art is asking the right questions. And not a lot of people are good at asking the right questions. And the more you get good at like asking the right question, the better answers start to come together overall. So whenever sometimes we just like say that, oh no, this is just how it is. And we go with assumptions that, hey, everyone else has been believing in this, so this must be the truth. But the more we challenge ourselves and we go in the area of like, let's actually still think like, let's say this is actually not the truth. Like, I mean, it might look weird, like, when I say like, okay, sunrise is in the morning. Yes, that is kind of in a way we accept as an absolute truth that this is what happens. But if you think about deeply about it, like even rising the sun from one perspective is like, yeah, this has been happening because the sun and earth are in a universe together. And that is what is giving rise to this phenomena of sun rising every day. So to get deeper into answers to questions, we gotta think one more deeper into like asking that question, like, why does this happen? That's only when we get to better quality answers. Then I think the other part here is the creativity and artistic expression. And I think all of us kind of have this, something which is beyond our work, which is something we enjoy. Whether for me it was running or biking, everyone else has some other way where they are looking to express themselves. And a lot of times we don't value that part of ourselves because we are like, hey, this is not what is paying us, because there is no reward attached to it. But a lot of times working on this area more and more and allowing this part of you which is beyond your work is how you can notice patterns which are coming from different directions. Like here, let's say if I take an example, there is an engineer who is also a person who does a lot of music, and they are like, actually, I'm not able to find ways to share my music well with other people, or the current platform through which I am able to share music are having these challenges. And then they will build a platform that allows for music sharing, and then you can have a great product coming out of it which will deliver great value to the society. So do not underestimate the importance of doing things which are not paying you right now, but they have a component of learning, because in the end new value in the world emerges out of finding different patterns together, like legal tech and product management coming together to build out a legal product, engineers coming together with, let's say, like stores, like manufacturing stores, and they're like, oh, we can build out a product. So you got to combine together different industries to be able to come up with better and better quality products. The more you have knowledge, the better you would be able to find those patterns. And those patterns, the thing is, a lot of people think, hey, I'm gonna wait for that billion dollar idea, because everyone is trying to find only a $1 billion idea. But the thing is, the only way to find that $1 billion idea is by going deep into a lot of $1 million ideas and keep doing it over a period of time. And as you do it more and more, and you're like, okay, yeah, I think now I have a $1 billion idea. Like, no one came up with a $1 billion idea on day one. Like, it just does not exist. This is just not how creativity works. $1 billion idea is simply doing enough of those $1 million idea, then you can figure out like, oh, this is scalable. I found a product market fit, and that just like is a journey by itself. The next one I would say here is contextual understanding. These are kind of the skills which everyone should have, which is how to be able to communicate to other people, understand how they act, understand their background, looking from their perspective. If I think about the advantage of a lot of people who are probably on this call, parents, they are connected with other cultures, be it the Chinese community, be it like American community. And I mean, when I say like, it's very important for people to be able to integrate with each other and understand how their cultures work. Because when you try to understand their culture, you find a very unique set of patterns that you won't see in your culture. And the more you do that, the more you are able to figure out that, okay, yeah, this is a new value creation opportunity that you should have. For the questions, I think maybe we do it around in 10-12 minutes, and we want to make it open once we go through this, a lot more open for questions. So this one, cross culture, I mean, these are like more of the social skills that people should develop, and that will also help in learning more about new opportunities or new job creation possibilities. And then I think ethical decision making and moral reasoning. So, I mean, the compass for morality kind of stands in each of us. And somehow it's crazy that we all know what is the right thing to do, until we keep defending that, okay, no, this is not the right thing, or like we are like still pushing ourselves in not unethical, but not leading with morality. And with the world, how it's changing and how technology by default is a crazy transparency tool. Technology is nothing but a transparency tool. It just creates a crazy ledger for the world where everything is mapped out. Like you can see who has done on the data level. So it just takes care of a lot of lies, and you can't lie in the technology first world. And as we go towards AI, you already have a lot more ledger. So that ethical decision making and moral understanding will become more and more important in every area. And there would be a lot of opportunities that will come through this, where you can, if you are an ethical person, you would always be appreciated in a long run in the world, and that will create a new set of opportunities. Leveraging AI and robotics, humans as augmented workers. So definitely, I mean, we are seeing AI changing a lot of this world, like journalism or like people who are used to like write media articles. I mean, you can use Claude to publish anything very quickly these days. And I mean, it will look like very good, like AI quality or like human quality. So it's very hard to differentiate for the human eye to say that, okay, this was written by AI versus this was written by a human being. And yeah, but I mean, the art here is to learn what is happening with AI so that you can build on the top of it. Like in the end, it comes down to what leverage you have. And it might be a very interesting example here. If you think about if someone does not have access of ChatGPT, their leverage is very low right now. If someone has access to ChatGPT, their leverage is very high because they're already on the top tools. Same way, whenever a new technology is coming, let's say Claude is releasing a new model, and if someone is there would be only 1,000 people in the world who are the first early adopters of that. And they have a leverage because now this technology is coming. So you are in it and you are like, oh, well, this is helping me. And you become more productive. So you are developing more leverage for yourself. But if someone does not have cloud access, then they are already behind in this game. So you want to be always on the top of technology. Next is like personalization at scale. I think it's very hard to do personalization at scale, but definitely personalization at scale is very important. And the reason for that is human beings in general like to feel special. If we think about this, like, we have this call and we have like 20 people, and then you have a one-on-one call with someone. And people would always be like, hey, I want to have a one-on-one call. Everyone is looking for that personalized experience. But then the people but everyone has a limited time, like, these many hours in the day. So it's not possible to be able to offer personalization at scale easily. And if you can figure out how to offer that personalization at scale, then the more personalization you can offer at scale, the more value prop you are creating. Because human beings they want to feel special. They want to feel like, hey, I am unique and I'm given unique attention. From the kids' perspective too, like they love all that attention, unique attention that comes to them. Then yeah, the other thing I would add is rapid prototyping and iterating. Right now, it is super easy for anyone to get started into product management, into building out a product, releasing something of value. So that is by itself is a big change happening, and everyone should be able to build any type of robot in like a matter of hours using the latest LLM. So I mean, if you are building in a technology, in a software world or software plus hardware, rapid prototyping is the way to go. I think lessons are from these is like more about, okay, these are the things which are important. Figure out your unique problems by just like looking at how different cultures are interacting, and that, or your culture, the problems that you are facing and where you have leverage. Look at that. Look at how you can work along with AI. So always be on the top of what is happening in AI. Look at how you can think about from different fields like legal tech AI or manufacturing AI. And one thing you can offer as like parents is you have unique insights into one industry. You can actually be co-founder with your kids. If your kids are like 10, 12, you can be a co-founder with your kids where you bring in the domain expertise in that industry, and your kid can actually learn how to be a great coder, and then you can create value together. And it's super easy with the rapid prototyping, how they can start learning right now. Like there are plenty of stories now where 8 to 10-year kids are really building products as good as like a 25-year-old person was doing in software engineering. There's a massive change happening now. So you always want to be on the top of that game. You always want your kids to be there, to be learning those things. And yeah, continuous learning, like just like every product is evolving and humanity's consciousness is evolving, you want to be on the top of that game and learn what is coming out new, who's releasing it. For personal knowledge, I use X as a great source for learning what is happening in the world, and even LinkedIn. So X and LinkedIn are great sources to learn. There is a lot of content out there, and yes, you can learn from the content. At the same time, don't go in that rabbit hole where you're just spending time scrolling through content and not creating. Like there's got to be a match of like consumption plus creation. Otherwise, it's just a consumption and you are not creating anything. So focus on the creative aspect. Like sometimes, I mean, I think I was reading this from some of the product management courses, and these are like people who have been top leaders in big tech. They said creativity comes by spending time in nature. And that was a very weird way of looking at it. But I kind of agree that the more I spent time personally also in nature, the more my creativity started improving, because nature is just so pure, and you look at a flower and you are like, well, looks like, why is it like that? Then all these new questions come to your mind, and then our mind is in a very different framework where we can create new things, where we can look at the world from a different perspective than what technology offers right now. And yeah, I mean, the more we would be obsessed in technology, then we would want to be more in the nature area also, where we can understand what are the patterns in nature and where value can be created. I mean, one way I look at it is like this guy Marcus Aurelius. He's like a Roman emperor, old Roman emperor, who said like the human beings have to live in harmony with nature, and we all have to learn to live in harmony with nature. And being in nature kind of just shows us a framework where how there are just like so much of chaos, but there is a pattern out of it, and the humans kind of have to fit into that pattern. Yeah, so in our initial, maybe it looks like we can get out of it, throw in one area and go deep, but then we are back. Like, if we think about social media, at some point, social media was a big thing and everyone just got into it. And now people are like, no, Jude, it's just so much of consumption and I'm feeling depressed because of social media. So people are trying to come out of it and going into nature. So I think one North Star is like living life in harmony with nature, and that can also help you create like an ecosystem of learning new things and what is happening in the world. Yeah, so I think we covered a lot of this: embracing lifelong learning, keep experimenting, keep iterating on new ideas, develop the skills which are very unique to you through as a human being, and leverage AI for your questions. Like, AI is a great co-founder tool right now, where you can say that, hey, pretend you are my co-founder helping me build an AI startup in marketing or manufacturing. Now, how would you approach it? And I mean, in AI is going to give you great insights. Yeah, and I mean, I think design comes like a last part of it, which is also very important, that how can you share it in a way where people are able to take that value. Like this call is a human-centered design where we are able to interact, 25 of us. In a similar way, sometimes just the UI product is a way, but there are all these interactions that are happening, and the better the design is, the better value creation happens. Yeah, so I think this kind of is where we went into the details. I think this is just more about how we, as a company, we help with visas and all, and I mean, how we use AI. And yeah, so I think my key insight or key takeaway from here would be, for the kids, they should always be focusing on how to allow them to be able to share outside of their domain and not worried about anything, and be able to go with the flow of learning something new. And sometimes you just find your few obsessions in life by just going deep into those areas. So the more we allow, the better we get. And yeah, AI is changing a lot, but I mean, some of your kids would be highly ambitious, and you do want them to be ambitious, like, just like how Elon Musk, by saying it again and again that we want to be a multiplanetary species, we are getting close to it. It's just that words have power, and the more ambition your kids can have, the more it's going to push the humanity forward. And I mean, as we become the space in space tech, we end up like being a multiplanetary species, which can happen very quickly. Then the new set of opportunities there would be communication between planets, or it's like about how to set up the infrastructure from here to Mars or all these planets. And I mean, those could be the opportunities coming down 10 to 20 years for your kids. So because those would be the problems, because you will say like, oh, someone is on Mars and we want to communicate with that person. Or you would say like, hey, my family members are on Mars and I want to communicate. So I mean, for the kids, you always want them to be thinking about what is happening and learning those skills as much as possible, and be always on the latest latest technologies. I think that's it's 9:40. I'm just gonna pause here. I pretty much covered most of this